Greetings and welcome to House of R, a Ringerverse podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm Mallory Rubin. He's here to ask us all to stop frowning. It's not awake. We're on a voyage of discovery and he has a colonic in 30 minutes. It's Rob Mahoney, our very own boy cavalier.
I'm a busy man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm booked solid today.
Yeah, you are a busy man. You just moved to Los Angeles. How's it going? Welcome.
It's going great. I don't have an actual colonic, but I do think I have like a spiritual colonic of all my belongings. You know, like
Yes.
we're really going deep on what is necessary and what is not in my life.
Indeed. I guess one of the things that made the cut as necessary was podcasting today. With me.
Never been a question, Mal.
Here at the Spotify complex about Alien Earth episode 4, Observation. That's what this one was called. Pleasure to be here with you to talk about what I thought was a, spoiler alert, wonderful episode of TV.
It really hit.
Very excited to get into this today. Rob, before we do, some quick programming reminders. House of R, later this week. Joanna and I reunited. You're getting the boot. Peace out. Joe's back for the end of the week episode.
Frankly, good. There's a reason I am not on the logo, you know?
Oh, man.
We're so fucking back.
We're back,
Welcome back. Welcome back officially to Joe.
We're back.
Like she never left.
And not only that, but like, what an embarrassment of riches here in person for the reunion pods.
Come on.
My God.
I
We're
can't
going to
even
be
imagine.
doing our Stranger Things Season 2 revisited pod. And I cannot fucking wait. I cannot wait to talk about that season with Joe. And you've got some podding with Joe as well. What is next on Hooked? What's coming?
You know, it's great suits.
Yeah.
It's better ad copy. It is vibrating undergarments.
Well,
Mad Men on Hooked this week. Very excited for all of it.
what a tease. What a tease. You're a pros pro.
Thank you.
Truly. What's our spoiler warning for today? Here it is. It's Alien Earth episode 4. Again, we have not watched ahead, so we have no idea what's coming in the rest of the season. We will be speculating. We'll be making some predictions. We'll be anticipating, but we don't fucking know. We have no clue.
No.
If it's ever happened in an Alien movie anywhere in the canon, it could come up today. There you go. All right.
Are we
let's
doing
get
spoilers for Peter Pan? Like, is the plot of Peter Pan a spoiler?
No, I kind of feel like that's fair game. I mean,
Okay.
I think if there's something from late stage Peter Pan canon that you feel convinced predicts the end of season 1 of Alien Earth, I'd say use your discretion about whether or not to share that. But if you want to like use some context to guide us, continue to make some character comps, some thematic points of resonance and note, I think that is frankly what we do here.
I was going to say that the show is a shot for shot.
I know you don't typically read books though, so
I have never, famously have never read a book, but I have seen a movie. I've certainly seen Hook. You know?
I mean, dude, same. I used to fucking love Hook. I used to love Hook when I was a kid. Love.
Not shocking to me.
Yeah.
A movie about getting so obsessed with the book that the characters come and take you away to a magical world.
Frankly,
why
the
would
dream.
that be Mallory coded at all?
Frankly, the dream. I haven't seen that in years. Feels like it's time to revisit it.
Might be
now
time.
I know what I'm doing this weekend.
You're welcome.
All right, let's get to our opening snapshot. Rob, we have a lot to get to in the deep dive in a minute. We are actually going to go chronologically through the episode instead of going by characters today because we want to hit every scene. Before we do, very quickly, set the table for us. What did you think of Alien Earth episode 4?
I loved it.
Same.
I just thought this was great genre storytelling. Yeah. I thought it was great ensemble storytelling in a way that, if you will allow it, did feel very Thronesy to me. Felt very, we're bouncing around. We're talking extensively about means of control, means of power, why people are kind of under the thumb of corporations, their superiors, human beings, robots. Like, there's a lot happening, but all of it is about leveraging other people for your gains for the most part.
I also thought this was great. This was easily my favorite episode of the season so far. When finished watching, my husband turned to me and was like, good luck to you and Rob both doing that in like less than 4 hours.
I would say challenge accepted, but we're just going to go over the 4 hours. So
we're being spared from that otherwise inevitable fate by the fact that you have another recording in 2 hours. That's the only thing keeping us in check today.
We'll see.
Literally the only thing. I thought this was great for the reasons you're noting. I thought that this was like a really rich character-centric episode. And there was plenty of action. This episode, I thought, really ratcheted up the horror in a way that I was like, I mean, as you know, I'm, when it's creature-centric, you know, an alien, a vampire, a zombie, a werewolf. I'm like, I can hang.
You can do that.
But like a horror, or just a horror movie, like I can't do that. Though my tolerance is really, I think, changing as I age, as I wither. And
no, I think you're growing. I think you're expanding your horizons.
I think as I'm just 1 foot in the grave.
You're feeling
part
more
of my decline. I'm like, well, things that make me think about death, mortality, the end, waiting around every corner.
You're greeting death as a friend. I think that is maturity.
Thank you. Yes, that's what they say about me, is I'm famously mature.
Absolutely.
But like, we're gonna get to some of the horror elements, but just even the opening where there's like this doll's head bobbing in the wave. Right away, I was like, okay, my heart is racing. I'm on edge. The sheep scene, our poor beloved sheep. We were right to be concerned about the animal welfare in the lab. Immediately, everything went to shit, as we knew it would. This was a scary episode, but it was so anchored in the dynamics, either pre-existing or rapidly developing in real time between the various character sets. And this also was, I thought, a great, easily the best so far villain episode. This was a tour de force from both Morrow and Boy.
Well, but Morrow's a hero.
He's happy to tell you that, which is how definitively you know he's a villain. Those are the best kinds, right?
They're the best kinds.
Like, we are so invested in what we're watching with these people, even as they do and say things that make us, of course, cringe or judge or fear. So I thought this was really awesome, and I'm excited to go beat by beat. And also, I'm just like, in that spot I love to be in the middle of a season, which is like active despondence that we're already almost at the end of the journey. Like, how is it halfway already?
It's flying by.
But also like, whoa, we have 4 hours left. We have so much room left to like do a cool, great thing here. So that's very exciting.
And in terms of the arc of the season, there's so many things that are kind of just starting to crest, like ideas that are just starting to be explored or dynamics that are kind of just starting to fill out. But you're right to point out the horror elements. I thought this was the most successful horror-oriented episode by far, just in terms of the creepy visuals, everything that we get with the eyeball alien. Like, I think the vibe is exactly where you want. And the body horror stuff with Alien is so important, and the eeriness is so important. And like, special shout out for the direction of this episode to Ugla Hochstetter.
Incredibly directed episode.
I just think tonally, we are in an Alien story. And maybe it is more Alien 3 at this point, or even Resurrections at some point. But like,
that will come up today.
I feel like I'm in the world.
Yeah. On the directing front, the deftness of the intercutting, I think sometimes obviously that can feel heavy-handed. Like, okay, you're really trying to draw our attention to which characters are in it together, not only in terms of an active storyline and plot line, but thematically. This all felt really deft in this episode. I don't think it would be accurate to say it was subtle, but it was effective.
No,
certainly. When we're cutting to Kirsch, for example, there's a reason. Right? It's priming us to wonder, what is he thinking when he's observing? What does it mean when his head tilts a certain way? Like, all of that really works to kind of heighten the tension. And
if you're coming to Alien for subtlety, I've got bad news. It's going to burst straight out of your chest.
You're in the wrong place.
You're just straight up in the wrong place.
Oh, man. I can't wait to we're going to have to wait till the end of the pod to get to the sweet little, we were calling him a Xenopole last week. Graduated to Xenolung.
Yep. In
this episode. Little Bubba just wants a head scratch.
Dude, honestly, was adorable.
Like, pet lovers here.
Yeah, it really got me.
Looked like ready to curl up on the couch with a good book by the fire for a nice, relaxing night.
Yes.
Do you think that's how the second half of the season goes?
I can only imagine. Is Wendy Xeno mommy?
Well,
wait for an hour into our conversation to find out, I
guess. One thing that I heard about a different character, admittedly, but in this episode was, remember, you're not the mother. This is an IT issue, Rob, not a gab fest. So that would be what? This is an alien specimen issue, not a gab fest. But it's always a gab fest here at the House of R, isn't it? Let's get to the deep dive.
Let's do it.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to say about this episode's opening montage? I've already invoked I thought, frankly, unnecessary and outright cruel bobbing doll's head. We've talked before across the season so far about these glimpses, because that's intended to catch us up. It's like a very organic what happened last, but then these incorporated elements of things we have not seen yet. This was a really rich text on that front. What stood out to you most?
I mean, seeing a doll's head in an alien story, how am I to not think of Newt? just like lugging around her little doll
Nude is
set.
always on our minds.
She honestly is.
Always.
For better and worse sometimes.
And all of these lost boys, all of the children with their stuffed animals and their toys, it just feels quite ominous.
Feels quite ominous, especially in an episode where we get Nibs holding various dolls and animals very close. I don't know who this doll belongs to. Maybe none of the lost boys at all. Maybe it was from, an actual first batch of children who underwent through this process and have been summarily dismissed from duty.
Didn't think it was possible to go to a darker place than what if one of the immaculately maintained mid-century modern dorm rooms is infiltrated and the nest of toys somehow winds up on the beach. Do you think on that front, I was going to save this until we got to either the scene in Dame Sylvia's office or the scene in Slightly's room or the scene in Wendy's room. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Herman Miller is a formal presenting sponsor of the first season of Alien Earth? Or do you think that Noah Hawley is just like, this is the vibe. I would like to give you a catalog. Here are some stores in Los Angeles that you should check out.
Sure.
I mean, I have seen multiple items that were in this episode definitively at a Herman Miller store. And I have no notes. I think it looks incredible.
It does look incredible.
I'm jealous.
Would you like to interrogate first why you are site IDing Herman Miller merchandise?
So I'm an enthusiast. I love the chairs in particular. I've been looking at some shelving recently. Did my husband and I have a conversation last week as our wonderful cat Halo just like really resplendently positioned himself on a Herman Miller ottoman about whether we've erred in our lives by not making him a furniture influencer.
Oh, wow.
Like you think about what could have been.
It's true.
And you realize that you haven't lived your life to the fullest.
Yet.
Like
there's no reason that can't start today. And
Herman Miller.
Get at us, Herman Miller.
Halo is standing by.
I don't know what it is about a pet on an ottoman.
It's just the best.
It really hits different.
Does your pup love an ottoman?
She does, but she's slightly too long for it. I have a corgi, so she kind of hangs over the edge a little bit.
The tush just kind of like.
It's adorable. I gotta say, like it's just a thing.
How is your corgi liking Los Angeles? You've got like a 4-day sample size here. It's a little early.
So she actually has not been introduced to the environment yet. She's currently away.
Okay.
For this moving process.
You're getting the house settled.
She's very particular.
We do this too.
Yeah.
Halo cannot be introduced into a new place until it is ready for him. Ready to receive him.
The chaos of a new home is already a lot, much less all of these boxes.
It's dangerous for an animal. Unlike the monsters at Prodigy Corp, we want to make sure that our homes are safe spaces for the pets that we love. All right, well, we'll await your update in future weeks and subsequent weeks. Let's get to the scene-by-scene breakdown. I don't want you, my co-host of this episode, our producers mere feet away, or the bad babies listening and watching at home to be alarmed when we spend probably 30 minutes talking about just this scene. I don't want anyone to be alarmed about what the pace of the episode is going to be as a result of that. This opening scene, the diagnosing Wendy scene, what is going on here, was such a rich text because so many characters were in this scene. Okay, I just thought this was fabulous, basically start to finish. Before we get to some of the historic, iconic, instant, Pantheon things we heard from Boy Cavalier, which is what we'll be spending the bulk of today's podcast on. Anything you want to kind of circle back on? Just we got confirmation because we were theorizing last episode. We were speculating. Was Wendy actually physically walking down those halls?
In those halls?
Yeah. Was she in the lab? Did everyone just say, "Tough shit, sister. We've got to get this Xenopole into your brother's lung. We'll check back later," and leave her on the floor? And it turns out the answer was yes.
And they just
just left Wendy on the floor. That's so fucked up.
Just moodily breezed past her.
Oh my God.
Didn't even look at the body.
Unbelievable.
Genuinely crazy
we saw Kirsch walking with the Xenopole, with such purpose and intent, not even a glance back.
No.
I'm astonished. This shook me.
To be fair, of all the times to be very focused and careful on the thing you're carrying, this might be one of them.
You know what? It's a strong point. However, I feel like Kirsch, first of all, he knows he's safe. He's a synthetic. Now, does he want to let it slip out of his hand and run down the hall and implant itself into Boy Cavalier's chest? Stay tuned, because I think over the course of this episode, the answer becomes, seems like that's maybe where we're headed.
I don't think he'd be too bothered by it.
I think he'd be fine. Speaking of Boy Cavalier, he charges in, and I thought that we saw here in a really undeniable fashion why people like to work at Prodigy Corp.
Not the Herman Miller.
That's an extra perk.
Okay.
It's really about Boy Cavalier's demeanor, style, and ability to inspire as a leader.
I can only imagine the keynote.
Rob, I would like you to power rank the following Boy Cavalier lines.
I would love to.
And as we go through these, feel free to predict at any point what you think the substance of what he says to his various charges, what impact that might have on, I think we can not even say if, but just when they're likely to turn on him and try to overthrow him via alien specimen. Okay, here we go. He comes in and he says, "Stop frowning. It's not a week. We're on a voyage of discovery and I have a colonic in 30 minutes." Iconic.
First question, who is performing the colonic?
And
is this why Kirsch hates him so much?
Oh, interesting.
I mean, he's like the science officer.
Interesting. But there's got to be like a whole separate medical division, right? Like lifestyle division, wellness division. It's a big complex.
I mean, they don't have HR there.
That's clear.
So like there's some departments that are unaccounted for.
Okay. I think what we can say definitively is that Boy is not going off site.
No.
Everybody's coming to him. Do they have to like pop by for an appointment? Or is everybody just there all the time? The fact that Adam in his later like threat to Hermit basically says, unsurprisingly, all right, if you want to quit, sure, there's the door. You can never come back. This is a private island. Really kind of just reinforces something I think we already understood about Neverland, which is like invite only.
Yes.
And the invite is kind of an in perpetuity, like you stay once you come.
Seems that way.
So colonics on demand.
And highly secretive, too. We did see in some of the like newsreel screenshotting earlier that it's like no one quite knows where this place is, which is why Morrow can't just show up.
Mystery location.
Mystery location. So you can't just be having like...
Mystery location unless you have put a fingernail circuit chip into the neck of a young hybrid and without question have his GPS location.
Again, I know it's not a human fingernail at that point.
Came out of the fingernail bed.
But it still upsets me to think about it.
Absolutely terrible.
I really don't like it.
I do have some questions. We'll hit some of these as we go, but I have some questions about like the level of awareness and kind of scanning and stuff of various like. It makes sense to me that Slightly doesn't consider. I mean, he goes far away to have the chat.
Yes.
It makes sense to me that he wouldn't wonder if someone could hear him because he just learned last episode about the retinal cams. So the idea of him being constantly monitored and spied on is very new to him, and he's a kid.
He's of the age where it's like, if I put the blanket over my head, no one can see me.
Exactly. I'm just under here with my flashlight, and nobody knows.
Definitely not.
When Arthur and Dame Sylvia, like, basically just go to the, like, office water feature...
I think it was a little further removed from that.
We have this conversation and it's fine. And it's like, why would they not know they're actively being monitored on CCTV? Those are like a few notes like that in the episode that was otherwise, I think, very strong.
That struck me as maybe Arthur thinks he has observed where the cameras are. And he's like, this is the one spot in between the coverage that might be safe, but he's undoubtedly wrong.
Yeah, he's not privy to the secret cams. Like only Boy Cavalier and Adam know about that. And then Boy has some beyond that so that he can charge in and say to everyone all the time, just assume I'm ahead of you always, which he says to Kirsch.
Yeah.
Which, don't you have little experiments to run? These creatures aren't going to discover themselves. One of the many times in this episode that Kirsch was basically like, all right, fucking, like fuck you, asshole. Just with the classic Timmy stare down, the withering eyes, and I love it.
Just the best in the business at that exact thing. No one can make you feel dumber faster than Tim Oliphant when he wants to.
It's the best.
Can also make you feel like the most important person in the world, as I often do when I watch him on screen.
Same, all the time. Not feeling like the most important person in the world right now. Curly really made the big push, the big teacher's pet push last episode. And here's what Boy Cavalier says this time. Go push some buttons and turn some knobs while the grown-ups talk. He will come back later after Wendy chitters.
Sure.
Speaks Xeno. and say, basically, fuck off with your like boast about how you learned French. Can you do that? So Curly taking a lot of shots from Boy in this episode. Curly then actually, this is why this one's a stealth contender on the power ranking here.
Yeah.
Because Curly then goes and does that. Just is standing there, turning knobs and pressing buttons.
She's taking the instructions very literally.
For the rest of the scene, which I found genuinely like heartbreaking to watch. That was painful. To Dame Sylvia. Careful, you're not her mother. It's an IT issue, not a gab session. Iconic stuff. Just so cruel to everybody in the room, including Dame Sylvia and Wendy. And then when Hermit enters, oh good, it's the brother. We'll obviously have an entire separate section later, just about all of the things he says directly to Wendy about Hermit.
Not pleasant.
Another quiet contender here. How's the new lung? Because later, Adam is just going to say, like, you're going to pay us back for the lung? You're going to pay it off with your hard work the rest of your life? That was very direct. Here, how's the new lung? I thought a great way for Boy Cavalier to just remind everybody in the room of what they owe him.
Yes.
And of the extent to which, quite literally, his influence over their lives has encroached on their very, like, person. Which of these is your favorite for the top Boy Cavalier line of the scene here?
The colonic probably takes the cake.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah. I guess literally, but ultimately, all these lines tessellated next to each other, I think is just like an incredibly efficient previously on Alien Earth. Like you are getting the snapshot of at least who all these people are to Boy very, very quickly. Like he's the one dishing the quips, but they're all, voicing their concerns. You get a sense very, very quickly of, oh, this is what Dame Sylvia cares about. Yeah. This is what Arthur cares about. This is what Kirsch wants to get back on mission, right? You were establishing all that stuff so quickly and reminding everybody where everyone stands in relation to Boy Cavalier, which is under, clearly, and being twisted in all of these various ways and bossed around, as bosses tend to do. Yeah,
like, of course, all he sees in them is a collection of spokes in the wheel that help him achieve the next thing. And so how does he ensure that the wheel is always turning? Some sort of emotional manipulation or leverage, being able to know something key about them to tell them something they want to hear to motivate them, or to say something withering to remind them that they ultimately serve at his pleasure. And because he will say, like, at the end of this scene about Hermit, just like remind him that it's up to me, it's mine, I get to do what I want, he doesn't have any say, like makes it explicit text. I find this much more effective as a way to remind us and them of his standing. Arthur starts adjusting the frequencies. They're trying to get Wendy's hearing back online. The scene is playing with sound. What's Wendy not hearing or hearing? What is everybody else hearing or hearing? And Hermit comes in and he says, "Hey, Biscuit," and he smiles at her. And we've been talking about this the last couple pods. I thought that was the first time, like, the looks on their faces as they just sat there with each other, especially like a hospital setting, right? Of course, they're going to discuss the visits or lack thereof at the hospital and what contributed to that. But calling them back to like the last part of their shared history, which was Marcy being sick, being in a hospital. And so for him to be able to be there in her moment of need and like look down at her and smile and support her, that was like the, I think, most effective moment for me to date of feeling this is like a brother and a sister, and they have history and they care about each other.
Feeling
and that's
something
real.
At all, honestly. I think you get that warmth. You also get later in this episode the little bit of tension as far as that visitation goes, and sort of like the why that happened, why that didn't happen, and whether we believe those things or not.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder if Boy Cavalier will find a way to bring that up.
I can't imagine he would. He just simply would never do such a thing. But also, I think their increasing desperation over the course of this episode to stay connected. Now that they have reunited, what they are willing to do to be in each other's orbit is a really powerful thing. And like, this is just kind of what we were waiting for. Like, can we establish some of the emotional stakes for these characters beyond just like, that's my brother and therefore I should care about him?
Yeah, like if the choices in front of you are in some way to you very apparently deplorable, but you make them anyway because the alternative is to not be with this person again.
Yeah.
We understand definitively like who you are to each other.
Especially when everyone in Neverland is compromised, right? Like Arthur and Dame Sylvia are confronting that idea really direct. Like, this is not science what we're doing anymore. This is not responsible. We are on the vanguard of something really important, but we both know this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And the question over the course of the season is like, when do people like Wendy start to realize this is fucked up?
Right.
When do the children start to understand like, how deep they are in something that they can't control.
Yeah, and it all gets back to the questions we were asking at the very beginning of the season of like, well, what is everybody's particular reason for being there? How much of it is about just like the pursuit of scientific achievement? How much of it, if you're Adam, is like, well, is this an ironclad $1 trillion idea, or is it the Snuggie? The Snuggie catching a stray in this episode. I know we're jumping across scenes now. Shocking stuff.
Truly, you feel like a Snuggie-oriented person.
I take that as a compliment.
I mean it as one.
Thank you.
Your commitment to comfort.
Exactly. Yeah.
And especially home comfort. Absolutely nothing wrong with
now,
that.
I will say, to be clear, that I have never owned a Snuggie. I don't even know if I've had the pleasure of using a Snuggie. I might have one of my friends might have had one in college, and I might have tried it once. But it always seemed great.
Yeah.
I just have such a vast supply of fleece blankets around me all the time anyway, that I kind of feel like I'm making my own Snuggie all the time.
Yeah.
But now that I'm thinking about it, especially because my cat really likes what I would describe as the left arm nook.
Okay.
Like he likes to cuddle right here. And so often I will take my arm out of the blanket to wrap around him because he's on top of the blanket. If that arm were in the sleeve of a Snuggie, do they still make Snuggies?
I believe they do. This already sounds adorable. Like Halo's like living in this, you're basically wearing a Jedi robe and Halo's just tucked in there.
I guarantee you that if they still make Snuggies, you can get one that looks like a Jedi robe.
It tracks.
And by can, I mean, I will be doing that.
Here's the thing. If not a Snuggie for you, I think you should invest in like I can't remember what the brand name is, but Boban Marjanovic, the enormous NBA player, now former NBA player, sponsored a giant blanket that is big enough to cover your entire couch, your entire room.
Not interested. Let me tell you why.
Okay, please.
I don't want, how can I say this in a way that doesn't sound sociopathic? I'm just going to say it. I don't really want anyone else under the blanket with me. It's for me.
And pets.
And Halo.
Yes.
And Adam is as far away on the couch as he could possibly be and feels the same way and is comfortable under his blanket. And that's the preferred setup.
Here's the
thing. We've been married for a decade.
I wasn't even suggesting anyone else should be in the blanket, simply that you could have a splendor of blanket all to yourself.
But then it feels too cumbersome to control. Like I am a fidgeter. I don't know if you know this as somebody who's done podcasts with me before.
You never.
Me? I can't sit still. And so I need to move. I want to change what side I'm on. I want to change how my legs are positioned. And I need to sometimes be able to, without having to reach forward, either because I'm too lazy or because this is helping our runtime today for sure, or because more crucially, I don't want to disturb Halo. I need to be able to, if my feet are cold, tuck the blanket under my feet for warmth with my feet. I need to be able to do that without having to
be able to maneuver it without a giant cumbersome blanket.
It wouldn't be right. It wouldn't meet my needs. Now, I'm willing to try it if Herman Miller is willing to provide. No, they actually only have very, very tidy, small throws.
Oh, yes. Minimalistic, I would think, for the most part. But I respect your methodology and your process. Okay, and I'm sorry for even insisting that a large blanket would serve your needs.
A bed is different, but a fleece for the couch, I want it to cover and full, of course. I want to be able to snuggle under it, perhaps in a Snuggie, but practical.
Is practical. Here's the thing. Does the Snuggie, we've asked this question in many ways with Alien Earth, in terms of the cultural touchdones that they have cited specifically. Yeah. Would the Snuggie have enough of an imprint to survive, to last the test of time?
Genuine serious question, because I think we've been having some fun with this. Why Ice Age?
Right.
Like, why Marty? Epic. Left such an impression. Why Epic? Why the Snuggie? Do you think there is a deliberate commentary at play here about what has lasted? Because something like Mr. October, that was clear, right? You understood why Joe's father was telling him that story, and the way that had been passed down over time as a way to enforce how you can achieve greatness and rise to the moment made sense. The concentration in a certain span of time, to your point, of what has lingered, I'm trying to wrap my mind around that. I feel like there maybe is something about not wanting to overcorrect and say that everything that's happening in our future is from the future, because then you have to say what all those things are. Yeah. And then you just run the risk of immediately feeling really outdated, which happens now when you watch old movies that are supposed to be set in, I don't know. Do you have a theory for Because it's not, other than we talked about the way the Maginot looked, but like other than that, there's not, some stuff feels like it's more of a like tie to the movies.
Yes.
But that's not what's happening with like Ice Age.
So some of this is very practical, right?
Yeah.
Of it's just difficult to concoct a futuristic looking animated movie or
they can't watch a movie that hasn't come out because then we don't know what it is,
yes.
etc.
It's easier for an audience standpoint if you're just going to flash an image faded in over Wendy's face of the Ice Age critters.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we understand what's happening there very quickly. The visual language is just a little bit crisper. I do think there's something, though, of like, if you ported in someone from the year 2000 to now, honestly, a lot of the cultural touchstones are not that different than the ones that they're already used to. And over time, if we're insisting or implying that we're just going to be becoming further and further reduced in the things that we understand and consume, and that are parts of popular culture, I don't think that take would be wrong for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I guess particularly so in a world where, as we hear actively discussed later in this episode, everybody basically said, voting, government, doesn't work.
What are your takes on voting?
I've got some thoughts. The corporations should rule and they'll solve everything. And this further consolidation of not only like active power and oversight, but of what we even think of as like life. Like if it's corporations, then it's about consumption, all of that, right? So that all I think makes sense. Obviously, there are plenty of things that are actively futuristic, like, I don't know, the creation of the hybrids, the cyborgs, the synths. It's not like the show doesn't take place in the future, of course. But yeah, I'll be curious if across the back of the season we're seeing like, anybody watch a movie from like the 50s?
Like a Wall-E style, like an old school musical. Like what's going on? How far back do these touchstones go? But I think you're right that the text and the subtext of the show are very concerned with clearly immortality, human immortality, what lasts and what doesn't in a very corporeal, physical sense. And also like culturally, like what is it that we take with us? If we put ourselves into robot bodies, how does that change the arc of human innovation? How does that change? Because like in the same way that when people of a generation create new things, they mostly create new things that kind of look like the thing they grew up with, or kind of look like when you make a flying car, it just looks like a car that flies.
Right.
You need a huge amount of turnover to actually change the way the world looks and feels.
Right.
And maybe like the implication of all this stuff is that we're not really going to do that. And we really especially won't do it if we start putting ourselves into robot bodies.
Yeah. And I think like one thing that seems very clear to me, I am interested in the specific choice of what they're watching or talking about or listening to. But like one thing that seems, I think, undeniable is just the decision to consume it that way at all. To sit with a person in your life and like watch a movie that's being projected on a screen.
Yeah.
Or when you are moving down a river to listen to the game, it's in such apparent active contrast to, we'll stop calling him Tootles as requested, Isaac, saying, just uploaded a bunch of new chips and I learned all this stuff. Now I understand it. It's like in the...
You think you understand it.
Right.
You understand it in the Ian Malcolm Jurassic Park sense. Like without the discipline necessary to attain it.
Exactly.
You understand some things.
Exactly. You're a big Jurassic Park guy.
I mean, I just keep stumbling into it. I don't even know how this is happening. But look, it's an all-time great movie.
It really is.
What can I say?
Really is. I recently watched, finally, Rebirth.
How did you feel about it?
I have some notes.
Okay.
I have some notes.
We'll get them to the appropriate parties as soon as possible.
Wendy's sharing some notes on her experience. Here's what happened. Woke up, heard the sound. Here's how she describes it. Like bugs rubbing their legs together, which I loved because it's just such a childlike way to explain what you're hearing. I thought that was great. And then what was the screaming, Rob? Was it the eggs? No, it wasn't. It was the baby. It was the baby screaming, our beloved Xenopole. I found this distressing and upsetting, as I think we were intended to.
Protect the Xenopole.
At all costs.
We simply must.
At all costs.
Honestly, it's becoming more and more adorable, especially as it sort of hatches out of the lung and becomes a little like xenoworm, xenosnake thing that we can discuss when it comes up a little later.
A lot of coiling.
It's just very cute.
I'm sure it will remain cute. And that nothing terrible will happen.
That is always what happens in these stories.
It's usually how it goes.
Yep. The end, episode 4.
Yeah, we did it. That's the end of the season. Arthur and Hermit, they would like this to stop. to make the sound stop, to stop inflicting this upon Wendy. And in unison, Wendy and Boy both say, no. They're like, we have access to an alien language. How could we not continue to pursue that? And Wendy says something beyond just, the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of insight. She says, I think they picked me. They're talking to me. I want to hear them. Now, we've been talking since the beginning of the show about this kind of like chosen one, I'm special, we're special belief that has been actively cultivated in them. And across this episode, we have a furthering. We've been talking about the ruptures, the fractures, the cracks in this family that have been there, just starting to spread and like spiderweb from the very beginning, really widening in this episode. And some of it is inside of the group, like Slightly saying later, like, why do you get this stuff and we don't?
Fair question.
Totally reasonable. I'm on Slightly's side.
Yep.
Always. Maybe
100%.
Until he started standing outside Hermit's window at night, watching him, planning to snatch him and take him into the lab to meet with a face hugger. That was probably where Slightly lost me. That was tough. Do you think this is true in this case? Like, it is apparent that it is only Wendy.
Yes,
right?
Who can hear the alien noises.
And we talked about this last episode because this is not just post-encounter and post-fight with the xenomorph. Did something get planted in her brain theory corner. When they went to the ship, to the crash site, already she could hear something. Kirsch reminds us of that. In this episode, we talked about that last week. So before the active encounter, Wendy was attuned to something that the others couldn't hear. We had the hearing beyond the human range test scene with Wendy and Arthur in the premiere. But it's not just Wendy versus the humans. It's Wendy compared to all the other Lost Boys. Boy says to Curly, can you hear this? And Curly's like, pretends briefly. Very sad.
I know.
That was tough. Pretends that she can and then has to admit that she can't. It's only Wendy.
Called in to be the failed control group.
Disaster.
Oh, just
Don't
a worst case scenario.
Don't tell me what I want to hear. Brutal. So mortifying.
Here's the thing. If you are in her position, just make a noise. Just make more and more noises. Boy doesn't know, other than what Wendy is saying, what this sounds like.
But then imagine the horror if Wendy's like, that's not what they sound like.
Wow, that would be tough.
And that's right. Definitely what would happen.
That is worse. You're right.
Because they're all
take it
dunking
back.
on each other all the time. So what do you think? Because at the end of this scene, Adam and Boy will have an exchange where Adam says, and I thought this was notable prompt for the group, I think when a hostile alien species decides to speak, one needs to ask why. Now, Boy is like, I think they're just talking to each other. Like, we don't necessarily know they're talking to her. Maybe she's just able to hear them and listening in. At the end of the day, once she starts to be able to convey what they're saying, actively communicate in turn with the Xenolung at the end, there's a question of what the xenomorph's original intent is, but it kind of ends up being moot in the sense that, whether they were trying to communicate with her or not, that's not moot because that's an interesting prompt.
Yes.
But, she can communicate with them now, and that's true regardless. So where are you with this right now? Is it something about her tech compared to the Lost Boys tech that allows her to access their language on this frequency? Tell me if you have another touch point here. We're kind of now talking about basically this opening scene and the last scene all at once. I think it's hard not to.
For sure.
She goes into the lab. The xenopole explodes through the lung and the glass. They kind of shrink back and then inch toward each other. She scratches his head. It's great. And they have a conversation basically. The closest comp I could come up with was from Resurrection.
Yep.
Where
It's
Ripley
right there.
is actively communicating, but Ripley is communicating with basically her offspring. Daughter and grandkid. Spoilers. Very weird movie.
I think fair game spoilers, though.
Agreed.
You know?
Absolutely. So that's a genetic tie.
There's a biological link.
That sparks that communication. This is different. What do you think is happening here? Obviously, we don't actually know. We're still in active theory territory.
Yes.
Where are you on this right now?
I would guess that Wendy's assumption that she has been chosen is wrong.
Okay.
I don't think she has actually been chosen. I think this is a kid in the way that all the Lost Boys have exhibited over these last couple episodes, wanting to believe that they are special for whatever reason, because they have been singled out for this thing.
That's what I think too.
And kind of imposing that framework on a few discrete actual facts.
Yeah.
One of those facts, she can hear this thing that the other Lost Boys can't.
Right.
She's also further along in terms of pushing on the boundaries of what she can do than the other Lost Boys are.
Yes.
And I wonder if it has something more to do with not that their tech is different, but that she has learned to manipulate it in a way that the other Lost Boys haven't. She has tapped into the mainframe. She has observed the camera. She has spoken through the HR bots.
Bot, yeah.
Like, she is plugged in on that stuff and widened her range of ability in a way that even Boyd doesn't understand.
Yeah.
Like he is kind of bowed to the idea that this thing I have kind of created, kind of imported, however you want to view hybrid life, is capable of things that I can't wrap my head around and I can't explain, and I'm going to defer to that. And I think this is kind of an extension of that idea.
Okay, so I want to hit both of those points. So to the first point, I agree. I think thematically, it is the most likely, based on what we've seen so far, the most in keeping with what the show is interested in parsing, and the most thematically rich, ultimately, if Wendy is like, I have been selected for this important thing, and that's just not the case, and then she has to confront that. Because it's a lot of characters in their own way confronting that may be something about their circumstances special, but that doesn't mean they are, quote unquote, special in the way that people like to think that they are. Maybe somebody's just telling them that to be able to use them as a tool.
As people do with kids again, the level of child
as
exploitation.
Morrow's doing with Slightly, throughout this episode, which is very intense.
Ugh.
Okay, to the second point, though. Where are you on this basically, I'd say this has been the case in general, and it's actually active text in this part of the conversation in this scene where Boy invokes the HR bot, because he's basically like, can you play us a tune?
Yeah.
Make the sound. And she's like, how? He's like, you're a speaker, right? Do what you did with the HR bot. Figure it out. He gives the old magic technology indistinguishable quote. He credits that quote to Isaac Asimov, which I found fascinating, because I would say that 95 to 99% of the time this is brought up either on podcasts or in works of pop culture. Arthur C. Clarke's 3 Laws are cited as the origin of this idea, and I'm like, and then Asimov workshops it, plays with it, incorporates it, but I'm like, what is that telling us about Boy? That he's pointing to Asimov as the person who did something with it, rather than necessarily Clarke as anyway, I thought that was kind of I'm like, is that on purpose? I don't know.
It's hard to tell sometimes with this show.
I hope I get to ask one day. But the fact that he was basically just do it. Just make it work. On the one hand, I don't mind if they're consistent and that's kind of how the show works.
Right.
I am left wanting a little in moments like that for more specificity about what is happening and how. Though that can, of course, lead to all sorts of problems. Did this feel to you like lampshading by just saying we're not going to actually explain the mythology of this? Or do you think it was just put a pin in that we're not ready to say exactly what's happening and we'll come back to how Wendy is doing all this?
I think there's a degree to which, even if Wendy did understand how to do it, Boy would never know how to ask her to do that because he doesn't have the hardware that she does.
But he's always one step ahead.
But not of her. I mean, that's his hope, right? Is that he's going to create something that will be a step ahead of him.
Yes.
I think this is him bowing to that idea a little bit of I can't tell you how to be you.
Right.
You have done things I didn't think were possible.
And we did, like you said, we talked about that astonishment that was really palpable.
For sure.
Where he realized, wait, did we give her that ability? And so there's something exciting to him. In a way, the fact that he doesn't know is just further cementing of his genius.
Yes.
That he put something in the world
completely.
That could be beyond the capacity of human understanding, even his own.
He wants to be the stepping stone to a different kind of sentient life.
Yes.
And I think that's in a way, an admirable thing about a weird and flawed and creepy character.
Let's just say it. We want to work at Prodigy Corp.
The mission statement, check. The furniture, check.
The outfits?
The outfits
Fit
are
watch,
great.
Crushing it. Would you wear shoes if you worked at Prodigy Corp? Or would you just be
yes, stop. Yes.
I mean, same. Mostly because I love a pair of kicks. But I feel if you're sign me up to be a part of the cult of Boy Cavalier, it's not out of the realm of possibility that you would be like, I want to do the barefoot thing to like show him
solidarity.
Yeah, that I'm a attentive disciple. But then he would probably be like, fuck off, that's for me only.
You're being a poser at that point. He wants true originals, which is, why he has kind of bonded to Wendy in the first place. It's like, this is a thing I can't understand. This is a thing I can't explain. I would be shoes off in my little dorm room for sure.
Well, I mean, you can't bring a pair of sneakers into your charging bed. Come on!
I'm also not tracking xeno acid into the bedroom. Like, that's just not something I'm interested in doing.
Cleansing fully before you go into the little duck.
Full, chemical shower before I walk into my dorm room.
That's basically what I do here in Los Angeles when I go home every day.
You know what? More accurate than you would be led to believe. Ultimately, I think, as far as like this part of it, your mileage will certainly vary. I think you need a little bit more actual tangible explanation with this stuff than I do. I'm kind of cool with the let's just leave some of this up to magic element. I think in part because I come somewhat from the Looper school of like, if we do this, we're going to be making diagrams with straws all day.
I don't disagree with you in general. To me, it's very story and world specific.
Yes.
And this is a story about innovation and science. And like, now I sound like Arthur, like, that's not science, But like, I don't know. I'm gonna keep reporting how I feel about this, I think, as we go, and it's also like, as we talked about at the beginning, thrilled that Noah Hawley is like playing in the sandbox and expanding the lore and the canon. I think that's overdue in the franchise. I want to like understand what is at play then when that is happening, but we got 4 episodes to go, so I'll be patient.
I think as long as there's a critical threshold that crosses where it's like, this has gone from technology as magic to magic plot device solving machine.
Yeah, yes, right.
Like full on Deus Ex Machina. Like, I don't want that.
That's a no.
Even though she might be like a literal Deus Ex Machina, but like that's a conversation for episode 8, I think.
Wendy makes the sound. We have a on the ground report to share, which is that our sensational, cherished, adored pod manager, Arjuna Ramgopowell, let us know that Wendy making the sound, the xenomorph sound, gave him a migraine, triggered a migraine so powerful he then could not go to a screening he was supposed to attend.
Yes.
What that tells me, first of all, I hope everyone's feeling better. But what that tells me, honestly, is that Wendy did a great job. Because I feel like it should be, with apologies to Arjuna, this should not be a pleasant sound for a human to hear.
And yet, it's like, you kind of...
I thought it was sort of soothing.
It's like a touch soothing and also very unsettling. Yeah. It's like right on that edge of like, I want to hear more of it, but also please turn it off. I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like full on like whale sounds from hell was the vibe that I got from it.
I love that. I felt like many moments in this episode and across the season, all of which we've been tracking, that this was one of those great moments where it is just like, we're talking about humanity. What does it mean to be a person? Adam is going to basically assign Hermit with this work later. Like, let us know. Is she your sister? You just can't forget that she's a machine when you're watching something like this. You can tell yourself that there is humanity there. Wendy can tell herself that. Hermit can tell himself that. She's doing something here that is made possible because she is a synthetic creation. And that is undeniable. Also, like, pretty undeniable when Hermit's like, she needs to rest. And he's like, fuck off. Her lithium-ion battery can power a small city. Or when she takes Joe to her room and she's like, this is my bed. It's actually a charging station. And he's like, you don't sleep? She's like, well, why would I sleep?
Yeah.
I don't need to sleep. Like, there were a lot of moments like that yet again.
Forget the, like, do androids dream of electric sheep thing. Like, it's like, why do they have beds? Oh, it makes sense that they have a cute little dock to plug into at night.
And a dock that makes them feel like they're in their bedroom, their bed in their childhood room.
Yes.
They've got their drawings on the wall, their little desk, their bookshelves.
It is cute.
All provided by the fine folks at Hermit Miller.
I also think the construction of these hybrids lends itself to a level of interrogation and thought about what those things mean and like, what does rest mean to someone like Wendy? In a way that if you're just a simulated AI consciousness made from, say, like every podcast I've ever recorded and every text message I've ever sent, poured it into a robot body, that body does not need rest. But if this is a human brain and consciousness, somehow poured it over, that brain does need a kind of like emotional rest.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think the question of like, if you want to take the like what charges your battery somewhat literally, it's like, is Wendy an introvert or an extrovert? Like, is she someone who needs time in her room to read to recharge? Or is she someone who's like out in the world experiencing things and recharging?
We've seen her. She likes to watch a movie. She likes to sit with her stuffed animals. She likes to draw, right? And there's also just the like, there's the what actually matters to her and is a part of her routine and a part of her personality. And then there's the like, what does she need to tell herself now in this phase of her new life is a part of her personality, is important to her because like, that is part of being human and staying up 24/7 and working through the night. Like I think we could say with 100% confidence that Kirsch is not like, I need to pretend I'm sleeping now.
No.
That's just not a thing Kirsch does because he's the guy who sits on the other side of the couch and it's like, she's not human. Why are we pretending she is?
He goes and stands in the closet. He's like, I'm good. Don't even worry about it.
He does the MagSafe quick charge. Ready to roll. Back in the lab to rub his hand on a gooey eggshell.
But look, if you're a kid who's been transported into a robot body, maybe you need something different. I love all of the childlike elements of these characters still, Wendy especially. I mean, down to the final shots where she's meeting, you know, like the Xenolung, basically.
Yeah.
And the way she kind of creeps under the table, looking up at her new little pet. Like there's so many things like that and things where she clearly still needs the trappings of a human life in some ways.
I think because we probably won't go back to that scene since we've talked about the bulk of it as the book into the episode. The other thing that stood out to me about the way Wendy looked at the Xenolung at the end was like, especially in this episode where, okay, like when Boy says here to Curly, okay, fuck off, you can speak French. You're like, okay, when does Curly, with a lot of the characters we're like, when do they turn on Boy? With Curly, it's just like, when does Curly actively try to take Wendy out?
Yes.
To get out of her way.
She's on Team Boy.
Yeah.
She's going to be chasing after his approval until the day that she
no
turns
question.
to
And
nuts
so it's
and
like,
bolts.
is she going to try to like kill Wendy? What's going to happen there? Okay, so Slightly saying at the ice cream party, like, why do you get to have your brother here? We all have brothers. The ruptures are expanding. Wendy saying they chose me, feeling this division in the group, and then looking at that little Xenolung who she can communicate with, it felt like she was like, oh, this is where I belong.
Yeah.
Right? And not only I belong here because you make me feel special, you make me feel chosen, but because like we're both on the outside. Right? And that's genuinely what I saw on her face there, which I thought was really interesting. And like to your point too about the in terms of the room and everything, all those and the look up from the edge of the table, that childlike nature. Then we have the kind of moments that feel like they ping on the opposite side of the spectrum, like when Hermit's worried. Boy, oh, the brother's having a feeling. Great shit. Boy has yet to miss. I'm going to be sad when he, I assume, dies in like 2 episodes.
Who do you think gets him? Like the eyeball monster rising up the board this week?
Okay, so I'll just say this is my theory currently. Could change. I think that Kirsch, who clearly knows what's happening with Slightly because he's been crunching the Morrow Slightly tape, grinding tape, knows what Slightly is about to do, obviously, and that is he's not going to stop him, but he's going to sub out the body. So I think Slightly is going to try to take Hermit in, and Kirsch is going to be like, how about Boy? That's my current theory.
Is it even like a conversation, or does he just kind of like swap out the bodies discreetly himself?
I think the fact that he opened up this kind of philosophical exercise with Slightly in this episode, going to the room, talking about the 3 wise monkeys, makes me think there might be more of an active partnership there.
I could see it.
But I don't know. He's really like Team Tootles right now. Said I wouldn't call him Tootles there. I did it. Fuck. Isaac.
We apologize,
Sorry, Isaac.
But the other thing that was so childlike about Wendy's interactions with the Xeno, I think, is the sort of like, it gave me the vibe of when you are a young kid and someone tells you you're good at something and that just becomes your life for a while or maybe for your entire life. It's like a first grade teacher liked your essay and it's like, I'm just an English kid now. Like that's just what you end up doing. And so this idea that she has this language capability that the other kids don't. Yeah. She's leaning into that. Isaac has found that he loves science and wants to lean in this direction. And most importantly,
so he's going to name himself after Isaac Newton.
Completely. And he's downloading new information. He's getting all this stuff because to him, this is a special thing where he's been giving the greatest drug of all, more responsibility. Like, especially for a kid, like that's what they're craving and wanting so badly that
self-worth, direction, reinforcement.
They all want to be more mature than they are. They all are trying to get older as fast as they can, as kids do.
Okay, so to that point, when Hermit was trying to basically say, like, let's stop this, Wendy said, I can speak for myself, right? Which reminded me a little bit, different context, but of the moment when they were in active combat and he's like, basically like, all right, I'm going to protect you. I'm the soul. And she's like, I'm the one now who will protect you. And seems very eager in those moments to assert not only her capacity and her maturity, but like comparative maturity, right? I am not only stronger than I was, I'm stronger than you are, right? And that's simultaneously, like, again, part of a coming of age thing, right? When do you graduate to that next degree of capability?
Completely.
But it's also like a way to sort of say, let's fast forward on all of that.
Right.
Like, I don't want you to think of me as somebody in that phase anymore. I'm here. I'm past you. Let me be the one who says what I'm ready for, or let me be the one who walks into, like, the literal drooling jaws of the foe.
For sure. Especially in the context of family, where it's like to your parents, to your older siblings, you kind of always will be the little kid.
Right,
like, that's just a part that's baked into your dynamic. And I think it's telling, too, that even though Tootles wants to be Isaac now.
Yes.
Wendy has never really pushed back on the idea of being Wendy. She was kind of like jazzed at this like
because
reinvention.
Wendy, first of all, Wendy, unlike the other names, as like Nibs has pointed out,
it's very fair.
Is not like cute code name. It's a human name.
What would be
so it makes her feel human, but also it means you're the favorite.
It does.
That's what Wendy means.
It absolutely does. What would be your first pick of the other names? You don't get to be Wendy, but who else would you want to be of the other Lost Boys?
Let's see. I kind of like Nibs. I mean, I don't want to be where Nibs is right now because it's fucking dark.
Terrifying.
But Nibs is a cool name.
Nibs is cool. I think Nibs and Smee are the most name-like.
Yeah.
Tootles, Slightly, like these just don't feel like names to me.
Curly, that's an absolute no.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, ultimately, like I don't. Maybe we'll get to the point where she wants to reclaim her old name, but I think it does feel telling that Hermit is the only person who's like, this is Marcy, right?
Marcy.
This is the Marcy that I know, and she's kind of saying like,
I'm Wendy now.
I'm a new person.
Well, that's the variance across the group. Like at the end of the ice cream parlor, that was great too. Hermit's like, this tastes like motor oil, and they're like, this is delicious because it's code. It's a line of code, as Isaac explains, but. You know, when Isaac tells Slightly about his new name, and Slightly's like, I didn't know that we could do that. And Isaac's like, well, I don't know about, like, Ken, but I did. And when they talk about we should ask if we can have our brothers. That's what Smee says. And Slightly's like, no, we should demand. And Curly and Isaac are like, I don't really want to fuck this up. Like, I like this more than where I was before. I like that I have been allowed to, like, realize my potential here.
Yeah.
It's not like everybody is aligned on whether they want to continue down this path, revert to a different sort of experience, challenge the authority that has unlocked this new existence for them. So that's fascinating.
I think that's kind of a natural segue point into the Nibs stuff too, because so much of where we are in the season right now is about these kids in their robot bodies understanding or not understanding the power that they have. It's like, on the one hand, no one can tell you that you are not Isaac.
Yeah.
And if you're a robot with a child brain, there's no therapist in the world that can stop you from leaping across the room and choking out your therapist if you want to.
So, yeah, let's just go through that scene. We'll jump to that because Nibs arrives and we'll circle back. But like Nibs arrives, interrupts this conversation between Arthur and Dame Sylvia. And then Dame Sylvia takes her into, again, it's just astonishingly beautiful office.
Also, congratulations to Nibs on your expectant pregnancy.
Dude, this was so dark. Like, I thought that Dame Sylvia, who had been, you know, in the scenes with Wendy, very, like, obviously actively maternal, in a way others are challenging.
For sure.
But also, like, very actively encouraging of the continued belief that the humanity is present.
Yeah.
And this was a moment where Dame Sylvia had to confront the other side of that. And say, like, I thought she seemed appropriately, I would say, like, ashamed before she got to the point of active terror that they have not prepared these kids at all for who or what they are. And Nibs doesn't want to look at the diagram, kicks it, doesn't want to hear about the synthetic nature of the body, doesn't want to believe or accept that, doesn't want to be asked to think back to the terror of what she witnessed with Teocellus and the cat. And Nibs, I'd like to say same. I don't want to think about it again either, and I get it, okay? But is like, curled up in that chair holding that stuffed animal in a way that makes you think this is like a it seems great, but like very young kid.
Definitely.
And then saying I'm pregnant, and then like you said, hurling. The idea of a forming actively still in real time child's mind in a Terminator's body.
Oh my God.
To have to confront it in a second on the other end of that. How the fear manifests, how the anger manifests, how the desire might manifest. Nobody would be able to withstand that for even a second. No. And like, this is what they've wrought, right? So,
and are living with it openly in a way that like Kirsch is skeptical of containing the xenomorph, for example. He's very careful about that. But these are fully powered robotic human beings out in their midst with a lot of autonomy, as we've seen throughout this episode, like going outside, hanging out.
Wandering freely on their own.
Can go to their little ice cream party. Like they have all of this freedom. And yet there's nothing that any of them could really do to contain them. Like if and when the kids decide that they have the power, which they do,
it's over.
It really is over. Like they
pressing a button and saying level 3 event, like tell your supervisor, he'll know what to do. It's too late.
It's way too late.
It's too late.
And
right?
I think what I love about the construction of this show is like maybe there was a world where a version of Boyd Cavalier who had his eye on the ball and a version of Prodigy that actually had everything coordinated could have actually acclimated these kids into their bodies in an organic and sensible and way that would actually take for them. But he's so distracted by everything that's happening with all these aliens.
Send him into the field. Let's gather data.
Send him into the field.
Christmas.
Completely. Like he's so distracted by all of that. And now even that everyone's back, like they've seen things they can't unsee. They've experienced things they can't unexperience. And they're all terrified and they don't know what to do with themselves and no one can tell them no.
Right. And for Nibs, like this is again a very relatable childlike thing that you see something that scares you and it takes root. Right? Like when I was a kid, went to a friend's house and his older brother made us watch Child's Play. And for like longer than I care to admit in my life moving forward, I like if I saw Chucky like on a VHS cover at the old Hollywood Video in Reisterstown, Maryland, I would like have to cover my eyes as I walked past.
So this is the opening montage doll head trauma really coming to bear.
Yes. I didn't think about it that way, but clearly that's what's happening. Yes.
Just lay down on the couch. Tell me about your childhood now.
The fact that like it's a very normal, relatable thing for you to see something that scares you and then have a hard time processing it, struggling with how it makes you feel. And that the way that like Nibs deals with that, the way Nibs copes is to kind of spin a tale, a delusion. Yeah. Also, that's a human thing.
Absolutely.
But then to have the capacity to challenge so actively anyone who stands in her way. And then I think the other thing is we were just talking about with Wendy, this idea of like, I've been chosen. I thought it was very interesting, even though with Nibs here, our hearts are breaking. And this comes from a very like, I am scared and don't know quite how to like make sense of what has happened and how it makes me feel and where I am and how my body works, all of it. Do you know where babies come from? God brings them. Yes, on some level, we have a conversation about the physical process, biology, and then Nibs invokes Jesus and says his mommy didn't do that and he was born. So like the God complex is present here too. And that is like a thing that the power brokers here have actively encouraged. Yeah. And so like when it manifests, how can they be surprised? Maybe surprised by the exact nature of that manifestation?
Yes. Clearly.
But the
shouldn't
fact,
be, though.
Right, exactly. The fact that it's happening at all, I mean, and reap what you sow.
What happens when Nibs comes out of timeout? What happens when she tells the other Lost Boys, like,
well,
they locked me in my room?
That was harrowing. Like, to see the other kids just outside on their benches and their pillows with their flavor strips, and it's like,
they didn't
Nibs
seem too fussed.
They didn't seem fussed, but I mean, like, we know Nibs is in active confinement while this is happening. And then you do start to wonder, well, like, okay, if they all found out, if they find out, I assume, what will their responses be? Like, again, the differences in how they're responding to their circumstance feels like such a good choice and really right, because that is part of being human. And so that should, in theory, transfer over. Curly, last episode, we talked about this in the scene with Boy, where he's like, is it, you know, she's like, no, I love my new body. It doesn't make me upset that I'm a synthetic. And Nibs is like, I don't want you to show me that piece of paper or make me think about this at all. If they find out that Nibs has been contained in her chambers by security in a level 3 event, it won't surprise me at all if Slightly, I mean, he might be otherwise engaged, but let's say he's got a free hour. all the
he's got a lot of creeping
really
to do.
latched on.
I don't know.
I would expect Slightly to try to help. Even though we have seen Curly in a condescending way, as we discussed, but try to kind of like calm Nibs before, I would kind of expect Curly to say like, seems like she's maybe going to fuck things up for me.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do.
Or just like Curly to me reads as the kind of character who would say like, oh, you misbehaved and you are being punished, but I didn't do that. And so therefore I'm going to be fine.
Be blamed?
I have nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. Did you have anything else that you wanted to note about the scene where Wendy brought Hermit to the room? I thought it was very sweet when he saw her drawing of him.
That was very cute.
That was great. And then one of the pictures on her desk was like the arms out, holding the Lost Boys, like big, strong, when she was recruiting them into this new hell. And then the conversation about basically being mad at each other, right? Like, so she asks if he's mad at her, kind of quickly dispenses with the falsehood that she's asking about the thing that just happened. And she's like, because you had to go to the cemetery for me. That was very sad.
Incredibly.
Oh my God. And he's like, I don't blame you. I blame these people in this place and Dad.
Yeah.
And then we realize, and I was not expecting this. This was an interesting surprise. She's upset with him. He didn't visit at the hospital. He says he wasn't allowed. He was on the other side of the world. There was a war. If there had been any way, he would have been there. Unsurprisingly, as we already noted, Boy finds a way to bring this up and be like, I would have done it later. Yep. I found her okay in response to his explanation. Okay. Pretty unconvincing. And clearly this is an open wound.
Definitely.
And something that Boy is going to poke, but also that Wendy needs to like figure out if she is ready to heal.
Did you find Hermit's explanation to be convincing about being on the other side of the world and in the like? I think there's the question of, is this just one of those adult things that only grown-ups kind of understand? Of like, yes, technically, maybe you could have gotten discharged from the war and gotten across the world, but it's like there's a level of hurdling that would be required that is almost impossible. Maybe not actually impossible, but almost impossible. Or is it the kind of thing where he is kind of betraying the fact that maybe he could have gotten there more easily than he's letting on? In
a way that I thought was important and kind of new in the flow of the show so far, this was a time where I was like, I feel disappointed in Joe Hermit, right? And I think we were supposed to. Like, Definitely. I think we were supposed to ask exactly that question, because when they first start talking about this, the idea of him visiting her, what wasn't allowed, you're just like, oh, literally, because this corporation is stealing children, of course he couldn't visit.
Yeah.
Nobody could know what was about to happen. Nobody could have access to the conversations between Noah Hawley playing their father and Boy Cavalier or Adam or whoever he sent to say, like, give me this kid. But then you're like, wait, well, what about all the times before that? Yeah.
It seemed like there was a window there that there would have been lots of potential for him to find a way to come visit. And he, for whatever reason, chose not to, or thought he couldn't, or whatever it was. And we have a lot to learn about the circumstances of that stuff. I'm also very disappointed, yet even still, you introduced Ice Age to your younger sister and basically ruined her life. Just
what
like
would you have shown Marcy instead?
I mean, does like Kiki's delivery service not exist? Wow. You know, like there's lots of great child texts. Many other great movies you could show. Especially now that, I mean, Hulu is kind of part and parcel of the Walt Disney Corporation. Like, you've got options of things you could show.
I mean, Kiki's would have been a great choice.
Fucking love Kiki's delivery service. Really great.
Me too. We know what Boy was consuming, and it was Peter Pan, because he read more of it to us in this episode. And
more of it to everyone.
More of it to everyone. He's broadcasting.
Apparently.
So here's my question for you.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically sitting like where we are. He's got a mic.
It looked like it.
I was like, is this a Shure USB mic? Is this a Rode USB mic?
Seems like a Blue Yeti guy.
He's got his ring light or his bar lights. He's ready to roll. He's got his tripod.
Yep.
Would you listen to Boy Cavalier's podcast?
No.
Is one of my questions.
No,
and do you
not.
think that Samuel Blanken, who is giving such a memorable performance, should record a new audiobook of Peter Pan?
He definitely should. First question, I'll take the first part first. Would not listen to the podcast. Would hate watch the social media clips, the breakouts.
You'd be just crushing those reels.
Oh, I think it'd be great
Think
content.
of what it would do to your algorithm.
Oh, it would take it down like just a developer innovator rabbit hole from which it would never recover.
Yeah. I mean, they design it that way for a reason, man.
It's sad. But I do think Samuel Blanco would be great on an audiobook. by my understanding, I'm not a huge consumer of audiobooks, but he does have a very distinctive and warm voice that I think would translate pretty well to the format. Is that the goal? Like, what kind of voice presence do you want for an audiobook?
Oh, it just depends on the book.
True.
It depends on whether you need a lot of different
voices.
Different voices for different characters. Yeah. Is there sound design on the given audiobook, etc.?
Are they doing the clomps and cleeps?
Sometimes there is sound treatment to accompany the text.
Wow.
You don't read or listen to books in any form, so you don't.
Only nonfiction.
You're not really actually interested in
I want to clarify. Only nonfiction. So I look.
So you do know how to read.
I do understand vaguely how to read / download a book into the back of my brain. Yeah. One of those two things is true.
Uploaded a new chip.
You know,
they're everywhere. Arthur's got them. Isaac's got them.
I know all about it.
What did you think of this particular passage? This selection of text from Peter Pan. Always interesting to see what Boy chooses to highlight. Some talk here about nightlights. In the 2 minutes before you go to sleep, it becomes very nearly real. That is why there are nightlights. Absolute nightmare fuel for Boy Cavalier.
Do you think he's picking the thematically resonant passages, or is it just like pure chance?
I wonder if he just reads the entire thing cover to cover.
How long is it?
Peter Pan?
Yeah.
So I've been revisiting the text while doing this podcast.
Look at you.
And when I love to hold a book in my hand, but as I've mentioned before in House of R, when I need the text for pod purposes, I like to have it accessible on a Kindle.
Definitely.
To be able to grab a passage, as you saw me frantically do in the 30 seconds before we started this podcast. I think my Kindle estimate was 5.5 hours of read time. So that's short.
Yeah, that's breezy.
Yeah.
That's
Can't remember the paper page count. We both have computers here. We could Google this. Let's find out.
I like leaving it up to the mystery of the universe, Technology being indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah,
and all
exactly. Let me give an answer that is specifically tailored to my reading pace as calculated by the machine in my hand. Feels fitting for this exercise.
The good news is once this goes out in the world, no one would dare refute you. No one will fact check anything you say.
It's never happened before. While we're listening to this Peter Pan passage, we're getting these glimpses intercut of Kirsch, who's listening in on something of his own.
And thank goodness, honestly.
I agree. I was actually right before we saw that he was monitoring, I was like, are we supposed to believe that no one knows this is happening? Which I think would have been obviously unacceptable. And it's not what happened, so it doesn't really warrant discussion. Issue. But Kirsch is aware. He's checking in on this conversation and the one that we will get to shortly. And I got to say, this is a great conversation to listen in on because Morrow is, I think, riveting. These scenes are amazing. This performance is exceptional. The writing.
Babu Cisse is so good on this show.
He is magnetic. And the language in this conversation with Slightly was beautiful. I was less smitten with the visual nature of these scenes. I found something very distracting about Slightly. Because, as I understand it, they did film, on location in Thailand. But this had such we're in the volume or on a green screen looks to me. Now we should say we're watching on screeners, so maybe
it could get
it's possible that will not be the case when folks are watching the live episode. I'm actually gonna check because I was like, this is
let's fact check that one.
Weird.
On the version we saw, the backgrounds behind Slightly look, I would say, quite bad. In a way
what was going on with that?
Your version of was this quote misattributed was me going, is this bad CGI on purpose? Is there a Truman Show chicanery happening?
Dude, but what if that's it?
I don't.
What if he thinks he's outside and he's not?
The more likely answer is
I would buy that.
This is TV CGI, and sometimes TV CGI doesn't look very good.
This is us last week being is Wendy casting her mind into the astral plane? It's nope, Kirsch just left her on the floor.
What are we here for if not casting our minds into the astral plane / debating whether CGI is bad on purpose?
It's true. I have no follow-up points on that. So Slightly's just in Stranger Things mode, just like the House of R. Friends don't lie, okay? Friends don't. Why aren't they watching fucking Stranger Things still in the future? I guess because this is an FX show, and that's an FX show.
I don't know if this is a safe space to say it, but I'm out.
All right, we don't have time for this. But put a pin in that, and we are following up. Okay. You're out like you've never done it, or you're out like you've given up and you're not interested
I
anymore?
did the first 3 seasons, and I'm good.
Oh, my God.
I just
Robert Mahoney.
Look, they lost me in the wait. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just I've only got so much time.
Okay, but let me throw this out. Very quick attempt to bring you back.
Okay.
To Godfather 3
You get one pitch.
I think the wait at the end of the day made it even better.
Did it?
Yeah, because you're like, can I still care? Is it possible I'll care? Can it be good? Season 4, I was like, fuck yeah. It was great!
Well, I guess we'll talk in 10 years when they finally polish this thing off and I'll get to actually watch it.
Holiday season 2025. We'll be completing our journey together.
So they say.
You'll have 50 hours of podcast waiting for you in the House of R. Morrow, you mentioned this, you alluded to this earlier. He's got a lot of compelling replies waiting for Slightly here. And this was one of them. Well, I didn't know if you were a hero or villain or a hero. Slightly says hero and Morrow says me too. And since we're both heroes, I need your help. Very insidious, but like what a perfect idea to weaponize if you were trying to manipulate a child in your act of war. Are you a hero or a villain? What kid isn't going to say like, I'm the hero.
Yeah.
I want to be the hero.
Yeah.
How can I be the hero? How can I feel like the hero? And then there were like a lot of, again, active manipulations, but like philosophical exercises here. How can you steal from a thief? Is this another riddle? A moral inquiry.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Slightly is like, well, like, this is my home. They saved my life. Morrow's reply is, now you're talking about loyalty. That's a very different principle. That gave me a chill.
This is what I'm talking about with the Thronesy nature of this episode. Is like, especially because there are so many children, so many scenes felt like either people scheming on how to manipulate other people in the show or someone trying to like bend Tommen's ear to like guide him in a particular direction or something. And this is one of those like,
oh boy, well that went fine.
Again, historically always goes well. All these means of control and power are being exercised all over the show right now. How do you keep people in your good graces? How do you keep them moving along the directions that you want them to? One way is this, right? Of making them feel special, of challenging their sense of morality, of being like, don't you want to be the hero? Well, I'm a hero, so you have to be aligned with whatever I say.
Heroes help.
Yes.
Heroes
help.
Correct their wrongs.
It also felt, in addition to the kind of Thrones part of that, remind me a lot of shows like The Americans or The Agency of like, how do you turn a human being with their own wants and desires into an asset?
Yes.
And that's exactly
We're
what
watching
Morrow
an active
is.
recruitment.
Completely.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that question of loyalty is a very rich text to do that because part of what Morrow is saying, like, people do all kinds of terrible things in the name of loyalty, which of course can be true.
Yes.
But also, like we talked about this last week, Slightly was the one who, in the Slightly Smee Morrow scene, responded to like, would you do this like that? Well, like, do my friends need me?
Yeah.
Right? And so this question of like loyal to what and loyal to whom? To your Kirsch will refer to Boy elsewhere in the conversation with Isaac as their leader, which felt like such deliberate language, like begrudging and resentful. Respectful, but begrudging and resentful. Our leader gave you those names, right? Okay, so you're loyal to right now this idea of the second chance. Who are you ultimately loyal to? And this will become what Slightly says to Kirsch when he tests him, right? And that's what being an adult is. It's a constant test.
Ain't it just?
Ain't it fucking just, Rob? Good God, that was great. Slightly's loyal to his friends, as he says. At the end of the day, the test here is clear. It's like, you got to be loyal to your family. You have to be loyal to the people who have been there for you, who you love, who thought you were gone, and now they know you're not. And what are you going to do? Let them down?
Yes.
So, like, loyalty is not a cut and dry, clear thing because you have multiple sources of loyalty and multiple pulls on that loyalty. And to go back to Thrones, that's why we sometimes get wonderful lines like, love is the death of duty. It's like, aren't love and duty both a form of loyalty? Well, what happes when they're in active conflict with each other?
It's absolutely true. I think where we're seeing that conflict of love and duty is in characters like Dame Sylvia and to some extent in Arthur, right? Of like, what is our responsibility as people who are kind of like overseeing and mentoring / like the guardians of these kids versus our mission as a company as Prodigy employees.
Well, so we'll finish up the Morrow Slightly thing in a minute, but let's just hit the Arthur Dame Sylvia scene quickly because we've brought it up a couple times and let's just kind of like put a bow around that.
Yeah.
Did that scene work for you? That was like the thing, part of the episode I was least compelled by, and I mean, I liked the substance of their discussion. I like that Dame Sylvia's inclination is to defend Boy. Yes. Maybe this is why he's so far ahead. I thought that was fascinating. What an interesting idea to put out into the world and to play with.
She practices like a kind of humanism that is so galaxy brained that she can empathize with anyone, even when they're doing insane things.
Yeah, and how much of it is that she really believes it? How much of it is like, again, this is where she's found, I've put all my self-worth in this place, in this direction. But Arthur, like, when he's like, well, like, isn't this distracting from the mission? And on the one hand, we've said that, we think that, but also her counterpoint was just like, can't we do more than one thing here? And I'm like, well, yeah, like, what's the count? There's no counter to that. Like, that makes sense, you know? And Arthur then saying, like, well, like, best case, worst case, a bunch of AIs running around, like, broken AI, or, like, we killed 6 kids. And she says, like, we're not flippant about that ever, of course, alluding to, like, their own history with trying to have a family of their own. And he's like, I just needed you to hear this as like your husband. And then she goes over and kind of like they nuzzle their heads together and she's like, I'll make you dinner. I'll make you dumplings. And I was like, that sounds great. But also,
is she wrapping the dumplings?
I mean, you're the expert here on all things home cooked meals. I mean,
look, dumplings not the hardest thing to do.
Okay.
I think easier if you buy the wrappers than make the wrappers. I'm just like, I'm bad with the rolling pin, honestly, is more my problem. But you can also hand put, like, there's options. There's options available to them. Mm-hmm. I just want to know the mechanics of the meal that she's making.
I'd like to know that too. And I'd like to know more about what, like, their relationship is like. Because that was kind of the thing that took me out of the scene, was just, I think, similar to what we've talked about with Hermit and Wendy / Marcy. I'm like, the personal relationships, the professional relationships, like Kirsch and Boyd, that's different. Personal relationships that, like, predate the events of the show are just not so far nearly as compelling to me or as convincing to me as the ones that we are watching develop in real time. I am riveted watching Morrow and Slightly.
Oh, completely.
Riveted watching Boy and Wendy. These are all new. And I wonder if, like, the show will be able to unlock something like Arthur and Dame Sylvia, or if it even really cares to, or if that's a little more incidental. But you get a scene like this, and I'm sort of like, what am I supposed to make of Arthur exactly?
Yeah.
Like, we're halfway there, and I don't totally know.
I think he is, like, he has a heart, clearly, and I think his intentions are in the right place. But he is compromised in a level that I don't think he's fully reckoning with, to say the least. And I think what you're putting your finger on is, like, the macro world building of Alien Earth, I think, really works. The micro world building of some of those pre-existing relationships, whether it's these two, whether it's Hermit and Wendy, whoever you want to kind of look at, is a little hit and miss.
Yeah, and I think in an episode like this where the relationship dynamics felt stronger than the
lived-in ones.
Yeah,
honestly.
The character sets where that's further behind, it's even more notable than in contrast.
I think the best thing you could say about this sequence, it did feel like we're kind of saying the obvious parts out loud. We want a character voicing their objections very clearly to what is happening here. And we want to, like, prime the fact that these are two people who, even though they are husband and wife, and we want to remind you that they're husband and wife, have some like philosophical division in how they think about this stuff.
I guess what I'm, like, bumping on is I'm like, well, what did Arthur think he was signing up for?
These kids are prisoners.
Exactly.
Like, they're straight up prisoners.
Yeah. So somebody getting to the point, as you're saying, getting to the point of maybe having to acknowledge and confront their, like, how complicit they are, or the nature of their hypocrisy, I'm interested in, for sure. Bumping on the fact that your shiny object distracted boss is like, let's put a pin in your life's work and, like, do this other thing instead. I could see how that would be annoying, for sure. But what did Arthur think he was bringing into the world? Exactly.
It's a great question. He's one of the characters we spent the least time with. And it's kind of papered over by the fact that it's just, like, an understandable worldview brought to life by a very likable performer.
He is lovely.
He's just wonderful.
Fargo High Price.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, it's a pitch straight down the middle as far as, like, an audience surrogate type perspective of, like, kind of in the middle, kind of interested in the innovation. Why can't we stay on task? And also, these are human beings. Like, he's conveying a sweet spot of something I think is very understandable.
Yeah.
But not always deployed in a way that I think is, like, narratively the most satifying.
Yeah. Like, I think I want him to say, to function fully and successfully as the audience avatar, I want him not to say, like, well, we're off the path with the hybrids, and more like, I mean, I guess he gets at this with the best case, worst case, but then I want to know that he's been tormented about it the whole time.
Yeah. Maybe. Let's get back to the child soldier business, you know?
Let's stay on task, folks. Speaking of child soldiers, one of the ways that Morrow is, like, to the Americans' point, right, like, really working to build this bond, to bring Slightly, to ensnare him fully in his plot, right? So we got to cement trust. My name is Kumi. Tells him his name. What's yours? Arush. Arush what? Arush sing. Arush what? Best moment of the season so far.
The
Incredible.
vocal stylings of Mallory Rubin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
That was just so great. Arush Singh knows his family name, and of course, immediately the smile on his face, like, I have a way now to gain ultimate leverage over this young boy who is going to be terrified about me killing his family. My heart sank the moment that Slightly said his name out loud. Sank.
Just, you know exactly where it's going.
We didn't have to wait long.
If you're a child out there, the many children who listen to House of R, who cover their ears every time they hear the bad babies drop, like, don't tell strangers your full name.
Never.
Don't give them any personal information about you or your family. This has been a public service announcement from the fine people at House of R. Thank you,
Rob. Thank you for that. I would say also, if you walk into your room and Kirsch is standing there, walk out.
I'll come back later.
Walk out. What did you think of his lesson here on see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, other than clearly big texter, big emoji guy, and also obviously has recently watched White Lotus season 3 and seen the Ratliff siblings in these exact poses? That seemed clear. He's basically like Buddhist teaching about avoiding evil thoughts and deeds, but then says, come to mean something else, right? It's come to mean, as we all know, when we are sending these emoji to each other. No, I don't want to know.
I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to know. I'm looking away. I'm pretending I don't know.
Yeah. Basically, Arthur's whole worldview, as far as we can tell. He is all three monkeys at once.
Arthur! So, we've talked about this a little bit with where we think this might be heading with Kirsch and Slightly, and what Kirsch obviously knows. He basically is like, he is asking Slightly a lot of questions, right? If I did something wrong, what would you do? This is where we get the test. That's what being an adult is, a constant test. But this is what Kirsch is doing right now, ultimately, is that Kirsch has this information and is not sharing it.
Mm-hmm.
Kirsch knows about this active plot to get Yutani's egg back to her, evolving over the course of this episode into just get a person in that lab so that the facehugger can latch on. He knows all of this, and he has not told Adam. He has not told Boy.
Nope.
He has not done anything other than go rub his hands along the secretions of the egg to think about what he's going to do with this information.
That was one of the most upsetting visuals of the episode. Just the caressing of the alien egg.
So gooey.
Slimy. Again, the KY jelly budget, incredibly expensive.
Voluminous. Was your interpretation of Morrow chiming in with a careful, just that he can eavesdrop on anything at any point?
I think so. But
Slightly is a hot mic.
He is a hot mic. You know, look, the mics are always hot here at Spotify HQ. They're hot around Slightly.
Yeah.
They're hot at Prodigy HQ as we're learning. Like, be very careful what you think are dead spots. I'm unclear on whether he can see anything that's happening. Clearly, I think he can eavesdrop in to a degree. And of course, he is in Slightly's head and not on speakerphone.
Yeah.
But what he can see, I don't really know.
Private line. Private line.
Just locked in.
As he says. Let's hit the other, since we're talking about them, the other Morrow Slightly conversation when he's like, look who I found. Mom. Okay, what does this do? The fact that we learned that his mom thought he was dead. What does this do to your understanding of how Prodigy is acquiring these children? Is your read on this that it was just like Slightly's dad without telling the mom?
Not unlike Wendy.
Yeah, or that like the parents didn't know at all in this case and Slightly was like stolen? What do you think?
I took away that we've just kind of, I think you naturally fill in the gaps to assume that most of these family situations are going to be roughly parallel. But in reality, all of them could be very different.
Which makes sense. And is of a piece with like they're responding differently to their bodies or their names or their new jobs, etc.
I think they've actually done a really smart and effective job at differentiating all of the Lost Boys and their circumstances. And this is like one more wedge between them in a way of, I have all these brothers at home and I don't get to see them, but Hermit gets to be here. Like, how is that fair?
That was so
and especially when you're agonizing him by hearing his mom's voice in the process. Like, I think it does just amplify all of the differences between Wendy and everybody else. Slightly, obviously, first and foremost.
I thought that, you know, the fact that we get such an active line from Morrow, you know, remember, we've had a bunch of conversations already about protecting your family, why it's important, why it's right, about what being right, what doing the right thing even means. And then he literally says, this is that. And like
fucking terrifying.
Spine tingling and genuinely terrifying. And then the way that Slightly is when he shows up and sees Hermit there, it is hard to do this well, but they really are.
Yeah.
Like, I care about Hermit. I care about Wendy. I'm glad they are together. I'm like, yeah, of course Slightly's right to say we all have brothers.
Yeah.
Why? And like, we'll get to the boy Wendy scene in a minute, but like, he says that. Yeah. Now he's starting shit. He's doing it on purpose, but he's kind of like, well, the others don't get brothers. No. Why would you? And then this immediately comes into play in a way that like it should. Like the other kids, at least one of them should be bumping on that. And I was glad that happened, but then it's like, I thought that Wendy's response to that was so interesting. Mm. Like, she's just like, well, like, you know, I'm the oldest. And Slightly's like, no, you're not. And she means, of course, again, I'm chosen, right? I'm the shepherd. I was the one who brought you in. I showed you how this all worked. So I do get special treatment. I am different. And like, of course, everybody else is going to rebel against that. Yes. That's what kids would do in real life.
Completely. And yet it's hard to argue with the evidence that she does get special treatment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so fascinating too about the Hermit and Wendy conversations with Boy as well, as far as like negotiating for the ability to stay together. I guess with Adam in Hermit's case, it's like, Hermit probably doesn't need to do this like Turing test report on your sister kind of work. It's like what they want is the alien Duolingo. And if they get that, then she's going to get special privileges. Right. And you're going to be able to stay here.
Which Boy literally says to her.
But Hermit doesn't know that.
Right.
And it hasn't really been established yet. It's like based on the timeline of the show. And so it's like, why not use the leverage we have to get something out of both of these people? Yeah. Why not twist everyone who thinks they are under our thumb, even though one of them is a superhuman robot, who we might be able to turn off, but honestly, at this point, who the fuck knows?
Yeah. I thought that scene with Adam and Hermit was great.
Really great.
Like, I like that we're getting a little more time with our guy, Adam. Terrifying. Genuinely terrifying. I thought that the repeated insistence on, instead of saying Wendy, saying the unit you call your sister was so unsettling and disturbing, obviously intentionally so, in a way to remind everybody of whose universe they're in and by whose grace they get to be there. And he's like, you know, you're never going to see her again. You have to leave this private island if you decide to quit.
Yeah.
If you stay, what do you mean? And I think Hermit, I got to say, was like a little slow on the uptake here when he's like, when can I take her home? It's like, Completely. What the fuck are you talking about? But like, you can never take her home because she's our property.
Which you can only get away with when you call her the unit you think is your sister.
And then to pair that in not just the same episode, but the same conversation with this prompt, this like homework assignment, when you are actively reminding that other person that you don't think she's a person.
Yeah.
You don't think that she's his sister. You just need to be able to have him say that and her believe it so that you can go to market and say, what is that? How does he describe it? A prototype for a transhuman product, which once refined will create human immortality. So like
this man doesn't need to be the muscle. He needs to be a copywriter. Oh like that. Again, it's just jumping off the page of the catalog.
Incredible. How do you think Adam and Don Draper would get along?
Quite well, actually. Yeah.
How about
one person
Roger?
being, as far as people you work with being completely full of shit, Adam has lots of experience.
Like, it's true.
I think it would go very well.
I agree. He'd be great. I can tell this guy likes a drink cart too. I feel sure. So you believe she's your sister. She has her memories, her sense of humor. Doesn't that make her Marcy? Actually, that's something we'd like to know too. And then later, did you really download my sister's consciousness into that body? Is it her? Those are two different questions. I could have done without the ensuing.
Right.
And this is the existential prompt. It's like, we know.
That's implied.
We're watching the show.
Yeah.
But I did think as a prompt, genuinely, to set that to Hermit, to say like, okay, the test is really not whether I believe it, whether the people making this believe it. It's like, does Wendy think it?
Yeah.
Do the people who knew Wendy find this convincing? It's very reminiscent to me of one of my favorite Black Mirror episodes, Be Right Back.
I thought about it a lot, not just during this episode, but the whole show, down to the where do the robots sleep logistics.
And how do their bodies work? And like, I mean, it's just
They're
all
fuck
of
machines.
it.
Spoiler alert.
It's like, yeah, how long could you, and is that the journey we're about to watch with Hermit, where right now, much like in Be Right Back, spoilers, there's like this euphoric initial reception.
Yeah.
This gift that you have been granted of your grief ceasing.
The wonder of like, how is this possible?
I lost you. I thought you were gone and now you're here.
Yeah.
And then every conversation, every minute, there's another reminder that it's not exactly the same. And one of the things I wonder is like, okay, well, Ash is like a 1-to-1 attempted recreation.
Yes.
So of every difference would feel even more notable and palpable, tangible. I wonder if the fact that like Wendy has a different name, even though Hermit's like not vibing with that. Yeah. Wendy has a different body. Wendy doesn't look like Marcy. If that degree of removal makes it easier for him to like process and accept the differences and just celebrate the similarities and the things that feel like they've lasted. I don't know.
It seems possible.
Interesting.
But this is the very delicate needle that they're threading, not just with the show and the kind of existential ideas behind it, but with this character and the circumstances that Hermit now finds himself in. It's like with this conversation with Adam, Hermit needs to think that this is his sister enough to want to stay and to participate to whatever degree in whatever test they're trying to do. But he needs to have the germ of an idea this might not be his sister enough to even engage with this idea of like, is this your sister and we want your help in determining that, and to sign up for her being a prisoner here in the first place, right? It's like, if you believe 100% that this is your sister, you got to get the fuck out of there.
But this is like a Xeno seed of a different sort, right? Where like it takes root whether you want it to or not.
Yep.
He's basically, my read on the scene is he's like saying like, okay, because he needs to say okay, because that's the only way to avoid being cast off on the next shuttle out of town.
Right.
Not because he's actually interested in engaging with this idea, but once it's been planted, how can you
that's
not feel it like thrumming against your ribcage, right? Like it's impossible to ignore once it's in there. And then what does that do to you? Yeah, I agree. Like he should be, and even though like, because we hadn't seen until they came back in this episode, Siberian and Rashidi since the beginning, since the premiere, but like.
I think they're probably, they're there setting up the inevitable soldiers need to contain the hybrids confrontation, I feel like.
Yes. And also, because they kind of, there was a very quick line about like, oh, you're here. The whole unit, like, or the ones of us that are left.
Yeah.
But also to kind of further lull Hermit, our reluctant new resident of Neverland, into like a familiar space. Your sister's here. Your platoon mates, your unit is here. Like, what else do you need to be able to like believe that this is where you should be?
Your lung is here.
Your lung, dude. I loved when
You'll never
like,
believe.
Oh boy, buddy, wait till you're here.
To be fair, you would never guess. You would never guess what they did with it.
Boy Cavalier, genuinely incredible. Okay, so let's talk about the boy Wendy scene, this chat that they have. Weird day as a greeting. I am in stitches watching him. I think he's so funny. He's great. He invokes Peter Pan multiple times in the scene. He can't help himself. He's like, what did it feel like fighting the alien? Makes a Peter Pan cop. Immediately, it's like the crocodile, the clock, the ticking. It's like what you're hearing. Honestly,
embarrassing that it took him this long to piece together the crocodile.
Like, dude,
this is the one book you know?
You have one bit of bedtime reading and it's this. Like, you should have connected the dots immediately there. He is so dialed in on Joe Hermit, on the brother in this scene. And I think there is, let's go through kind of the different things he says. I think there is a lot in the brew here. Some of this, active manipulation of Wendy. Some of this coming from a genuine place of like, that is a relationship that I don't have.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what he says. When Wendy says it was hurting Joe, he says, oh, right, the brother. Just love it.
All of the brother drops. The brother is having a feeling.
It's just so funny.
I was so mad. But just vicariously, I was so mad.
And like, it's a little detail, right? But we're spending so much time from the Wendy Lost Boys perspective talking about what a name means, and to just refuse to call him Joe or refuse to call him Hermit and call him the brother. It's a label. It's a role, right? It's just like perfect. Just like, again, lording his power over everybody by reminding them like, it's up to me.
Yeah.
If he sees you and if you see him. Then he just says he hates brothers, fathers, mothers, always telling us what to do. I would like to read you a passage from Peter Pan that I read last night at like 1 a.m. when I should have been sleeping. I'm doing great. But your mother gets letters? Don't have a mother, he said. Not only had he no mother, but he had not the slightest desire to have one. He thought them very overrated persons. Wendy, however, felt at once that she was in the presence of tragedy. Wendy and Peter in the passage there. That is literally the scene we're watching here.
Yes.
Like that. This is like, to your point of like how much of Peter Pan feels like a spoiler. I mean, that's actually like beat for beat what this conversation, Wendy and Peter in the book, and Boy and Wendy here.
Also a direct echoing of your personal views on mothers, that they are very overrated persons.
My mother listens to this podcast, as you know, because she then sometimes emails Joanna when I mention my failing vision, and she'll send Joe an email and be like, "Can you ask Mel to go to the eye doctor?"
That is a healthy...
Have you gotten an email from my mom yet?
I haven't yet, but I look forward to it. And I too will encourage you to go to the eye doctor, and frankly, many other doctors. I think this is an intervention, and we are trying to help you.
I'm going to start by checking in with Boy about the colonic, and we'll branch out from there.
Start wherever you like.
We'll branch out from there.
Anatomically, your choice.
Did this comment from Boy here impact anything you were thinking or feeling about his history and family? Because we kind of speculated about this last week based on crunching the zooming in and looking at the newspaper headlines, heads and decks, always here at this journalistic institution, House of R. What did this? We were like, what did he lose a sibling?
Yeah.
Did he lose a parent? What did this do to update your latest thinking there?
Well, there's some very carefully deployed ellipses happening in those like excerpts that we could see.
Yeah.
So before he fully articulates, I think it was implied that he had lost some family members, and what that did to animate him. And like we had thought, okay, maybe this is why has this hunt for eternal life. Maybe this is why he's like looking to overcompensate for human mortality. Now I kind of wonder if he was glad to be rid of them in a way that like opened up his freedom and worldview and allowed him to be the most boy cavalier he could possibly be.
That is where I am too. And if part of why he's like, get Hermit out of here is because he thinks that it's going to hold Wendy back.
Like tamps down her potential.
Yeah, in a way that he would not want to be held back. And even his response to her, like, when she suggested he send the aliens back, which, by the way, when Adam was like, "We got some notes about like these aliens, and what are you thinking? You do give them back to Yutani." It's like you can express concern about our peril, imminent peril. Certainly, it's an alien property. Don't suggest we send the find back to the competition. Come on, Wendy at least is like send them back to space.
So you just want them out of the corporate machine.
I think that if I'm a business tycoon. You're my right hand, and you say to me, send this thing back to our corporate foe.
It's a non-starter.
Fuck the 5. Like, that was also, I will say, when Curly at the ice cream party was like, "Can you tell us about the 5?" I'm like, shouldn't they know? Like, I know they were young kids, but it's like the way the world is run. I felt that was odd.
But do you know the way the world is run when you're 8?
I gotta be honest, I'm 38. And I can't understand it, Rob. I can't wrap my mind around it every day. I'm more confused than I was the last. Fair counterpoint. Okay, but so to go back to this like idea of thwarted potential, when Wendy's like, "Send the aliens back," and he counters, he's like, "Why don't we send your brother back?" And this is where he says that none of the others get to have brothers. What makes you so special? I'm not special. I just please. And his response is dripping with disappointment, disgust. "Oh, come on. What kind of intellectual argument is please? This is not the path to the conversation on the mountaintop that he wants."
Please does not get up on the mountain.
Absolutely not. He's like, "This is my life's work. Someone's sitting there sadly asking me, please, like any actual kid would do or any actual person."
Yeah.
That's not what Boy Cavalier is after, though, of course, I liked that Wendy did that because it felt very human. And then he pokes at the old wound by saying, "If I was your brother, I'd find a way." So what's your read on what Boyd is doing with Wendy here? How much is it motivating her because he offers her that deal like we talked about? find out what the aliens are saying, and your brother can stick around.
Yeah.
How much of it is trying to actually turn her against Joe?
Mm.
Let me remind you of how he wasn't there for you. Let me remind you of how I would have been. And how much of it is actually that this is part of the experiment, right? Testing the lasting nature of the human attachment. Testing what aspects of what came before feel like they matter to you now. Or is it a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, a little bit of column C, maybe you've got a column D. Like, what do you think is going on here? What's your read on this?
I think it's less the testing, but I do think it is short-term, long-term. It's like right now, present tense, you care about your brother. We're going to wield that against you. So you will do this work for us. But long-term, I need you to trust me more than him. When when push comes to shove,
you have to make a choice.
You're going to have to make
a choice.
Completely. And you're going to have to pick me.
Will I stroke the egg again? That'll be one choice.
Apparently everyone wants to. Everyone on the show wants to stroke eggs. They just can't help it. It's in their biology.
Monster egg.
Even the hybrids want to stroke the eggs. They just aren't as affected by it. But
I know.
Ultimately, like, he needs her trust. And the only way to do that is to start creating that division. Because if in the 11th hour, he's like, you can't trust this guy. He never came to visit you. She's not going to buy it. He needs to put those ideas in now in the hopes that they grow in the way that all the other doubts we've been talking about
Latch the face hugger on now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Give it the gestation period.
Has to happen. Has to happen. We need to talk about what actually happens in the lab. Before we get to the sheep, though, let's talk about the Tootles Kirsch name choosing just for another second, because we've talked about the Tootles part of it. What it means to say, like, I want to choose the name of a scientist. I felt like there were two other notable things about this. One was when Tootles said, it's not what you call a man, you know, a serious man, that was felt to me very notable in contrast to Boy, to the Peter Pan energy. Not everybody wants to remain a kid forever, right?
Yeah.
There are plenty of people here in the Lost Boys and elsewhere who are like, I want to grow up, actually. The thing that I want to do is feel like an adult.
Completely.
Not stay in this like perpetual state of arrested development. So that felt notable. And then I just thought that when he picked Isaac and explained why, the way that Kirsch looked at him and said, yes, I think that's right. Kirsch has been a joy and a delight to watch, incredibly entertaining. I wouldn't say he's been tender or warm. This was the most I've felt tenderness from him. When he looked at Tootles turning into Isaac and said, yes, I think that's right. He's the one who's like, they're not humans. We're not their parents. Yes. Why are we pretending? But I felt like a paternal, protective, and most of all, I felt pride.
Yeah.
Now there can be scientific pride in the work, pride in the achievement, but this was pride in him saying, this is who I want to be.
Yeah.
That felt really like crucial to me. What did you make of that scene?
I think there's definitely an element of respecting the kid who is most like you in a way. It's like it's the similar interest set, like all along the path. I'm the one giving him the responsibility.
Yes.
I see him growing in ways that I personally, even as a synthetic, approve of.
Yes.
All of that is in the mix. But I think Kirsch is going to be on his own journey, as are Dame Sylvia and Arthur, of like, how protective should I be of these beings that are kind of me, but kind of not?
Right.
And where that line will ultimately be drawn from. And I wouldn't be surprised if for all of them, the answers are different. Like Dame Sylvia in this moment is terrified of Nibs.
Yeah.
Kirsch in this moment, I think does show a bit of pride about where Isaac is. And like, if nothing else.
Yeah, you're right.
And he also doesn't respect the authority of the institution enough to say like, you have to go by your code name. It's like, I mean, this sounds right. Sure. Let's go for it.
Yeah. He can't wait to find little ways to say, like, as Boy episode after episode basically reminds him that he's just like a stooge, right? Yeah. To say, you don't have to do, even though he literally in the scene says our leader chose it, like, you don't have to do it because he said.
No.
Do your own thing, right? He believes that he is superior to Boy. And like, what is the ultimate way to prove that to himself and to Boy? By, just like we talked about last week when he gleefully shut that lab door and was like,
oh yeah,
you can't be in here, but I can. Best way to show the vulnerability is to actually let him watch. Let him walk over to that egg after all.
Let him watch me as Kirsch manhandle this facehugger. I gotta say, it was incredible to watch in episode 3 of just him grabbing that thing, slamming it on the table.
Dude.
What control.
Well, they all watch an experiment of note in this episode.
Jesus Christ.
This was the scariest thing I've seen in some time, I gotta say. This was incredibly upsetting, and I thought also like a really great scene in a disturbing way that I will take with me. Tio Celis, our guy. Pupils McCornea. That's what I'll be calling him now.
I still like Eyeball Jockey for what it's worth.
Eyeball Jockey.
I'm trying to make Eyeball Jockey
Jiggles.
happen.
We've got a lot.
A creature of many names.
Absolutely. Many pupils and many names. He's back. Very rapidly makes his way to the sheep eye and pulls it out of the socket, burrows into the brain, and then I thought, all right, I went. What did you think was the most like nightmare fuel inducing aspect of this scene? Here are your nominees.
There are many.
Right after the burrowing, which also is a nominee, obviously that was just gross. The sheep stands just on its hind legs to like shake the dangling eye off so that it plops on the floor. Haunting. The sheep with Eyeball Jockey, now embedded in its brain, controlling it. Just watching Kirsch and Tootles, and we get Eyeball Cam. And Kirsch is talking, he's narrating, he's like, look how it's tracking.
Playing a little peekaboo.
Look how it's watching. Yeah, and I'm like, I know this is like active experimentation and scientific inquiry. I would just run.
Oh. I am
Hermit
so out.
Didn't book passage on the first shuttle out. Great. There's a seat for me.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Here's the thing. Not all of these people in synthetics and hybrids have seen the xenomorph in action yet. But you see this shit.
You're done.
I'm on the first thing smoking.
I'd like to add this to your can't wait to get out of Neverland consideration set. Not only is this thing fast and strong.
Yeah.
Rob, it's smart.
It's not what you want to hear.
We get a whole exchange, a whole discussion about the wavelengths and the brain activity, the gammas, problem solving, concentration, highly intelligent creature. And then it's just watching them, plotting methodically how to kill them all.
Oh, yeah.
And the glare specifically at Boy, who's like kid at the aquarium, banging on the glass.
Sir, do not provoke the aliens.
Unbelievable. The hubris on this dipshit, taking his ball and launching it at the glass and then literally pointing and saying, me, taunting. I mean, he is looking into the eyes of the creature that is one of the creatures that is a candidate to kill him. And he's like, I own you.
I feel like a strong candidate at this point, and frankly, I'm on the Eyeball Jockey side on that one.
Me too.
I think it would be perfectly justified.
Especially now that we know that Boy Cavalier has been like just recording all of these readings and he can remain in our life in another way.
It's true.
You know?
He's immortal in audiobook form, if nothing else.
The scene was really scary.
Very, very good. Very scary. Again, this is some of the best horror stuff and like the contained in the room, living this moment quality of the way that it's shot and composed, I think is just really, really taut.
Yeah.
Like suspenseful filmmaking. The creepiest to me is by far the sheep standing up. Horrible. And I think also conveys a moment, like we were talking about the uncanny differences of, is this really your sister and all the ways that might manifest.
Right.
This is also a parasite that doesn't really know how to be a sheep.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it would like stand up for a moment and shake out the eye and be like, am I supposed to stay like this? Or do I need to get like, how am I supposed to be is both terrifying and also very fun to watch.
Yeah. Makes me even more concerned for the bunnies than I already was.
Are we on bunny watch or bunny warning?
I mean, I guess we should just theorize now, even though it's upsetting. All right. Eyeball Jockey went to the sheep. Xenopole has already gone into the lung, but of course there are more eggs.
There's so many eggs.
It's just everyone is still on Xeno watch.
And maybe a queen somewhere.
Do you think?
I mean, I just don't know where the eggs came from. It's very hard. Like, if we were to suppose that the crew of the Maginot killed the queen or stole the eggs, I'm just not sure I buy that.
So this gets back to a question we asked each other in the first pod. When are we getting some space flashbacks? That has got to be coming, right?
I would think there's a little more of that.
I think especially as we're ramping up our Morrow screen time, when when he's telling Slightly what to do, and Slightly's like, and he goes through all the beats, whole time frame, and Slightly's like, you know, what's going to happen to the person I choose? And Morrow's like, it's going to be a rough day for that fucker.
But I'm going to make sure they're very comfortable.
Gonna make sure they're very comfortable. You're just reminded very effectively, he has seen this all before.
Yep.
He's the one who made it out. And all of our questions that we were speculating about previously, who knew what when, what happened why, I just feel like those answers, surely given his centrality in the story, not just the alien centrality in the story, but Morrow's as a force, like, have to come.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I think the diversity of those perspectives and motivations is important. Honestly, similar to the way that among the aliens themselves, I love the idea that Jelly O'Jiggles is incredibly sentient, right? That this is a smart eyeball monster that knows how to problem solve, that knows how to play creatures and people to its advantage in a way that I think we're getting some indications that maybe the xenomorph has like some trap laying ability, some like vested interest, some like cognitive capacity. Yeah. But ultimately, they are the perfect killing machine. Yes. They are the like drop on the planet and it wipes out the planet. They are the nuclear option. They are not the like targeted, strategic, tactical one. And so the idea that in this lab, there are many things that can kill you, all of which would be exercised in very different ways. Incredibly exciting for what's going to kill anyone, but especially Boy Cavalier, which it will be coming.
Can't wait. Truly can't wait. We still haven't seen what the flora fauna thing can do.
Nope.
I do worry that maybe that we might learn that via Bunny.
Oh, that'd be a tough one. But here's
the thing.
That
would be upsetting.
The flora fauna is quite large. That's a small little snack for a guy that big.
You're right.
I think a sheep now.
Oh, boy.
A human.
Which person?
Probably one of like the red shirt soldiers, to be honest with you. Someone in the little company.
I feel pretty sure Arthur's going to die.
You think so?
Yeah.
I mean, odds are all of these people die.
The list of who makes it out is much shorter than who dies, ultimately, for sure. So on the Queen front, I guess like we could see that they took the eggs from the Queen at the location where all of this was and then left, got away somehow. We know they lost a lot of members of the crew.
Yeah, that's a lot of people, though. If you don't have a flamethrower, that's tough work.
Yeah, the Queen could be in the mix still.
Could be.
We could have a new Queen.
I mean, democracy failed. We're ready for the monarchy.
Gonna be tough for Wendy and Curly because they're both like, I'm the Queen. I'm special.
It's true.
Anything else? We ended up jumping around a little bit. Did we miss anything? Anything we didn't hit that you want to hit? Any scenes, any moments, any ideas?
Honestly, I think we were pretty comprehensive.
I think we got it all.
I think, again, the most exciting episode so far.
Really good.
In terms of the execution, in terms of the tone, in terms of the ideas that it's presenting. Like, I'm just so fully on board for the vast majority of what the show is doing right now.
We only have 4 left.
But think about how much ground we've covered in 4.
I know,
it's been a lot, you know?
It is exciting. We have 4 left.
Yes.
There you go. You just gave me an old little like flavor strip.
There's so much.
I went from it tastes like motor oil to it tastes like chocolate ice cream in just a second there, man. Just needed to think about that line of code differently. Okay, we did it.
We did.
Thank you to Rob Mahoney.
Thank you, Mel.
What a joy to be here with you in Los Angeles. My goodness. Thank you to our little family here, our crew aboard the Maginot. Hopefully it'll go better for us.
Dibs on the crash pod in the floor, please. I'm going to hang out. You guys can stay in the pods with the face huggers.
Oh, man. Carlos Chiriboga. John Richter. John Jones. John Jones' first time here at the House of Art. Usually the Watch gets to hoard John.
You poached
Today,
him.
Here he is with us. What a treat. We only creaked the table 9,000 times. I wonder if Chris and Andy ever make that mistake. Probably not. They're so disciplined and still. And of course, Arjuna Ramgopowell and Jomi Adeniran. Rob, enjoy your colonic.
Thank you, Mal. It means a lot coming from you.